And in the bottom right side, we're looking at the main base with the man who's representing Blazer. It is Krystianer.
PvP on this map, like, I've seen some cannon rushes now. I know this is a good cannon rush map, but I'm kind of thankful almost that I'm not seeing one of those early probes move out. But is there anything you can tell me about what these guys particularly like when it comes to PvP?
Yeah, I feel that Krystianer is kind of an odd one in this matchup as well, but maybe that's me speaking too much out of my personal experience with him. But obviously, myself, I have a kind of a unique playstyle in PvP, and I like to do weird things. And I always feel that all the top EU Protoss, they just go Blink Stalkers and they get an Observer, and they kind of just try to keep track of my army. Krystianer always plays without a Robo against me, and he's one of the very few top players who does that. I personally don't think it's good. Like, I understand the benefit of it. It's like, okay, you feel like you save some resources, you have 1 or 2 extra Stalkers to maybe defend and feel a bit more comfortable against random attacks, but I always feel that if you're truly solid, you're willing to spend those resources on vision, because vision is everything. If you feel like you're the better player, you can just keep track of what's happening in the game. So Krystianer likes to cut a couple corners as well. Goblin, on the other hand, Ben, he's just all over the place. I don't even know how to describe his PvP. I don't think truly anyone does. Sometimes he just makes... Like, he used to 3-gate Robo all the time, but ever since the Super Battery got introduced to the game, he kind of gave up on that, I feel. And right now, I feel it's the Wild Wild West.
Like, if I can talk about these players a little bit when it comes to their other matchups, like Goblin, he's a guy that likes to, find out what his style is and then try to perfect it, and going through the same routine over and over. I know he loves Stargate openings, Phoenix, especially in PvT, but when it comes to PvP, I'm unsure. But Krystianer, he is a guy that, yes, he will cut every corner known to man. He is much a gambler. So I feel we very much have Krystianer that's all over the shop within regards to his strategy choices and tries to skip whatever he can. Whereas Goblin, the more methodical, trying to perfect one style and one style only almost.
Yeah. Goblin obviously comes off a PvP defeat against Skillus just a couple days ago. Wasn't a fantastic series. If you guys missed it and you're wondering, should I go back and watch it? It's like, no, Skillus was just very smart. He's like, I know Goblin, and I feel that some of his builds are very greedy. So I felt I could punish that. And he was right. Like, he just kind of won with 3-gate pressure game 1 and game 3. And that's kind of all he wrote for that series. It seems that Krystianer is not going to have the same approach. He will just go for his traditional Stalker Sentry expand, 2 gateway units, and I'm kind of expecting him to drop the Twilight Council. And then I'm just curious, is he going to skip out on the Robo as well? Or will he actually build a Robo in this, this particular map and this scenario?
Yeah, we'll see. Because, like, as the Phoenix player, what are you necessarily looking for here or hoping to happen? Are you just hoping that you can play greedy behind this? Or, like, what transitions are you really looking for as a Protoss player?
Yeah, I think Goblin actually plays Phoenix in a very greedy manner, and I think that's why Skillus was so aggressive against him and was able to close out the series in a relatively easy and straightforward manner. I think Goblin will look at this and be like, all right, it's inevitable that I am going to kill a couple probes. I don't know how many, but I will always get a few. And since I also expanded early, this is going to be fine. Goblin needs to be a bit careful here because he takes a lot of damage. I'm not even sure if I like that, getting 1 probe kill to take that much damage on a Phoenix. But I think what Goblin might go Phoenix Zealot, by the way, which is the one way that he defeated Skillus in the previous playday. Ooh, Krystianer is going for a very early Dark Shrine. And since Goblin goes Phoenix Zealot, there is a chance that Goblin will have very late access to the direction.
This is quite a precarious proxy location, because if those Phoenix fly away from the natural, just kind of, retreating and then accidentally fly over that Dark Shrine, could cause problems for the Krystianer at getting scouted so early. But yeah, you're totally right, Kevin. Like, does Goblin need a Robo right now? I mean, he will for the Dark Shrine. Oh, as soon as I say that, he puts it up. That's a nice, careful play by him.
That is very well done, because if he didn't have it, then the game would just end. Goblin just seems to know that it's a Dark Shrine, because he even queues up an Oracle, and you would never make an Oracle here normally. Maybe Goblin saw the Twilight, and he's like, you're not researching Blink. I don't see Blink being researched. I feel like you're going DPs, and this is something that Krystianer has done against me as well when I'm playing Phoenix Zealot. The Phoenixes are about to confirm that there is indeed a Dark Shrine. I don't think Krystianer saw that, by the way, so yeah, this is perfect for Goblin. Well done.
It certainly is, certainly is. He isn't starting his third yet, and I mean, he doesn't have a surplus of minerals, so I'd imagine that it comes in soon. Okay, Goblin just rechecking there, reaffirming that indeed the Dark Shrine was not cancelled, if you're wondering why he did that. So that is nice, diligent scouting by Goblin. And now, when you are up against DTs, I guess one worrisome thing if you are the Phoenix player is if they do morph into Archons, you know, you can't lift up the Archons, but I like the way that Goblin's just kind of like scouting and being careful and such, and also just adding on lots more Phoenix here.
Yeah, I actually want to give a big shout out to the way that Krystianer is playing this, because he's kind of just using the Dark Templar as a threat, but then he's not truly investing in them and throwing away a lot of resources. So this actually worked out really well for Krystianer, because now Goblin made an Oracle that's pretty useless at this point, even though Krystianer has no way to detect stasis traps. That Oracle doesn't really do anything. Goblin was obviously a bit paranoid about DTs entering, so he hasn't been that persistent in trying to find damage. There is even a gateway being proxied right now on the other side of the map. Krystianer is going to have a pretty strong push with a lot of Blink Stalkers. And Zealots are great against Stalkers, man, but if the Stalkers are truly in overwhelming numbers, it actually becomes a little bit difficult for these Zealots to get a great fight against Stalkers.
Ooh, losing Phoenix when you're so committed to getting so many of them, it's kind of a wounder there. And I mean, this is a really heavy Stalker count. I'm getting a little bit scared for Goblin.
I'm getting very scared for Goblin. I actually think that Krystianer has a lot of potential in this push. +1 has finished up as well. Obviously, the micro is going to be important. I want to see some stasis traps. Where is that Oracle? Has it done anything? The Oracle's just kind of chilling on top of the main base. Ben, that is a ridiculous amount of Stalkers, and I think it's going to be very difficult for Goblin to keep his Phoenixes alive. And if the Phoenixes are not alive, then I think Krystianer is just going to out-micro him.
And the fact that no shield batteries were ready as well, like that is crucial. Oh, nice micro by Krystianer. Sniping the shield battery, sniping the stasis ward as well. Goblin's in trouble here.
Yep, I think you just want to mass lift at this point and try to get a fight with your Zealots, with your Immortals. The Immortals are not really participating in this battle yet, though. So Goblin ends up losing the majority of his Zealots, and there is the forward blink by Krystianer. That is a great decision by that young Polish Turtles. And Ben, I actually think this is just way too many Stalkers. I think Krystianer is just going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do? The Phoenix don't really do that much damage. Yeah, he's taking out Stalkers one by one, but he's losing everything with it. And look at the confidence of Krystianer. And Goblin with a cheeky smile there. GG's out.
Yep, Krystianer with that proxy robo. I mean, Goblin had a Stalker sitting on the map inches from that pylon and that gateway. I think if that Stalker would have actually spotted the proxy pylon, spotted the gateway, that's where Goblin gets the heads up. It's like, okay, I'm actually getting attacked. Then he could maybe drop a couple of stasis traps preemptively. He could get one of the shield batteries you mentioned, but Goblin just saw it too late. But I gotta say, that was an amazing Dark Shrine, and it may seem like it had absolutely no impact on this game, but it allowed Krystianer to casually go up to 3 bases. It forced Goblin to not use the Phoenix, but make an Oracle instead, so the Phoenix count didn't really snowball. Invested a bit in Observers, and it almost gave Goblin a false sense of security, where he's like, okay, I'm fine, I can just go up to 3 bases, but he wasn't fine against the Blink Stalkers.
No, you're totally right. You're totally right. Like, even though knowledge is power, Krystianer knew that and kind of provided him with false knowledge almost. And I like the dedication to this Stalker attack, because it was the one thing that Goblin would undoubtedly die to. And you saw that he wasn't probing up so much. He was really, really gutting out a lot of Stalkers. He had a lot from earlier as well, defending against the Phoenix. It was just nice gameplay by Krystianer. And also, I got to ask you, did Goblin go Phoenix every game against Skillus as well?
Well, he opened up 1 gate fast expand on Jagannatha, and then this kind of died to 3 gate. I think he made 2 Phoenixes, then tried to make a safety Void Ray. I think there was Oracle Adept on Lightshade, so no Phoenixes on Lightshade, but I think 2 out of 3 games there were Phoenixes, yes.
Yeah, I do feel that Goblin had his kind of his rise and shine moment when he started being a bit crazy in PvP. Like, I remember that series against Drogo where he threw everything at him. Like, there was Adept Void Ray before Void Ray was even a thing. I almost want to see something a little bit more crazy from Goblin. So, I'm saying this based on not seeing much of his PvP, but I'm seeing a trend here, because Krystianer, he cuts a lot of corners against Goblin. It seems like it seems very safe against him.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if Goblin was actually the one going for a Dark Shrine, because he did have a Twilight Council, of course, and sure, he made a lot of Phoenixes, but he could have still squeezed in a Dark Shrine. What kind of detection did Krystianer have? Absolutely nothing. No Robo, no Cannon, no Oracles, obviously, so Krystianer would have been in all sorts of trouble if Goblin would have actually had a Dark Shrine and walked 2 random Dark Templars, but Krystianer just had a good read on the build. He has seen this build. He has played against this build. I can confirm, Ben. I can actually attest to that on the ladder more than once. And I think that this man just played a very smart game 1. Made the Dark Shrine, forced out the reaction, but it was never about the Dark Templars. It was always about the Stalkers for him. He has now taken a 1-0 lead. If he gets the job done here today, he definitely keeps his dreams alive of making the playoffs. In the bottom left side, it is Krystianer.
And smiling right now in real life, as we see on the webcam, spawning over in the top right as the blue Protoss, it is Goblin. It would be interesting, like, whoever wins this, I know a lot of people might class Goblin as the favorite, but you're right in saying it. Like, these guys, I think they're more evenly matched than most people would care to think of. By the way, okay, Goblin, I was worried that, or not worried, but his second gas seemed quite a bit later there. I was thinking, oh, is he going to go for an expansion here?
I mean, Goblin does have a couple of 1-gate expand builds that he seems to be a fan of. I mean, okay, it's not going to be the case this time. Goblin gets his second gate as well. I think Goblin just scouted a bit earlier, making sure that Krystianer wouldn't go for a 1-gate fast expand, where they go pylon on the low ground. Those builds become really popular on Pillars of Gold and Oxide, because it's so hard to attack into the natural in PvP if you have to go up a ramp early game. But I'm actually kind of happy that we don't see that. I don't like that, Dan. It's too greedy for me.
Too greedy for you, Kevin. I know that your response to it is like getting Phoenix, your Rebornals out, go and like rock some stuff up there on the other side of the map. But yeah, it's nice to see that these guys are respecting one another and not going for any of the ridiculous cheese early on.
Yeah. Like, I think the 1-gate fast expand builds, they're actually pretty safe. I think they do struggle with going up against builds where the plan was to proxy all along, right? So instead of actually scouting for an expand, the probe would have just been chilling somewhere on the map and would have proxied the second pylon, and then a very quick proxy robo or a gateway or a stargate. Then I actually think it's very hard to defend your expand, and that's why I'm personally not that big of a fan of it. But I guess we'll see in the near future if I'm right or not, because it's becoming more and more popular, especially on Pillars of Gold and Oxide.
I like this sneaky probe hiding from Goblin. Like, this will allow him to see when the Nexus goes up, if it does go up at all, and maybe running into the main and getting a good scout off of all the tech that's going on. But Goblin, he is resorting to the same thing again with the Stargate tech thus far.
Yep, Krystianer is actually proxying a pylon on the top side. Do you think he's going to go for some gateway pressure, perhaps?
Krystianer could do.
He's switching it up. He's got so much gas. I almost feel like he needs to proxy. Is he going to proxy his Stargate? That'd be so wild. It has to be a gateway. It must be a gateway for Krystianer. Anything else would just not make too much sense to me.
Oh, I saw his like money spiking up and spiking down kind of thing. I was like, oh my gosh, is he like canceling some stuff? But okay, so when the Goblin's actually going for an Oracle here instead of Phoenix, so he's mixing up his unit choices as well. But that is a very fast hallucination, and he's going to spot the Stargate immediately, and if he looked carefully, you get to know what unit is popping out. But he does go back there, confirms it is the Oracle, I do believe. Oh, unless it bypassed it.
I'm actually a bit worried for Goblin, because I don't know if Krystianer is going to leave a lot of units at home, but Krystianer is swapping in a shield battery in his main base, which gives me the idea that this Nexus is a bit of a decoy, right? It's just like, oh yeah, I'm expanding, nothing to worry about. Goblin does have 1 shield battery, but 1 shield battery doesn't keep you safe, because Krystianer is about to knock on his front door with 8 Stalkers. I think Goblin is in trouble, Ben. He obviously is getting a second Oracle, but he has to understand that there is nothing out on the map, or nothing in the main base, like nothing is at home, which means all of the units are about to attack you. Goblin needs to pull probes preemptively, I think, otherwise his units are just going to get one-shotted, and that is exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, he's pulling, and Krystianer is moving in now, so they're both reading this very, very well. That shield battery is incredibly exposed, though, and First Stalker does fall for Goblin immediately before the fight even pretty much begins, and This is just a numbers game at this point, and all the Stalkers falling for Goblin, caught with his pants down here. He's trying to get a reactive Void Ray, but he's got 2 Oracles on the field, which they can't deal with this army. They are going for the main base, though, and 2 Oracles could get some damage done.
Yeah, Goblin tries to keep that army out of his main base with a pile, and now Rico is being used on, I don't know what actually, just a couple of Stalkers to keep that main mineral line safe. It's going to be probes and a Void Ray against a whole bunch of Stalkers, but the gateways of Goblin are unpowered as well. Goblin is absolutely going to lose quite a few probes here, but he's still up 5 workers, Ben. If he can just repower those gateways, it may not be that bad, but obviously his Nexus is in all sorts of trouble.
Yeah, and Krystianer is actually making probes behind all this. An Immortal's out, a Void Ray's out, and quite a lot of probes to do the tanking. But this is so rough. I mean, he's not mining as much as he wants to. Gateways are powered again. And I mean, the Immortal and Void Rays will deal a lot of damage. Oh, beautiful baiting by Krystianer here. Goblin, he can't really get much done, it looks like.
No, but that was a great force field indeed. Now Krystianer has actually taken the worker lead. Really wants to get this Nexus. Instead, is going to retarget the Void Ray. Gets the kill on the Void Ray as well. And that final force field should buy enough time for this army to take out the Nexus as well. Goblin in all sorts of trouble. He had a great start to this group. Won his first 2 series at the surprise victory over Hero Marine. Previous play day, Goblin lost to Skillers. And I don't think it's going to go any better today against Krystianer, Ben, because Goblin needs a miracle at this point.
And yeah, I mean, this group started off pretty bad for Krystianer, right? But back-to-back wins against Lambo and then most likely Goblin here. How can Goblin get back into this if there is any way? Because I feel like, he's a base down, his army isn't as good, really.
Yeah. If he would have killed like 12 probes with the Oracles, I'd be like, well, maybe he can build up a better army. Does land a decent force field there, traps one of the sentries, but at this point, this is just not a fair fight. Krystianer is up 11 workers and mining of 2 mineral lines, while Goblin is only mining of 1 mineral line.
Goblin going for a last-ditch effort, though. I mean, every match really matters, and it did start off so well for him. And even if he does lose this series, he's still absolutely got more than a chance of qualifying through this group stage. But this is kind of one of the matches in the mid-section of this group that you really hope to win.
Yep, I actually do think it's kind of a must-win for Goblin, at least if he wanted to finish top 2. I think we can forget about top 2. Obviously, the top 4 dream is still alive for both of these guys, but it seems like Goblin is going to go for a desperation push of a couple of Immortals, and he's going to try to rely on force fields. Now, Ben, obviously, a single battery is powerful, and especially if it gets turned into a super battery, but if these Stalkers don't have Blink yet, this could a little bit problematic. It is just so hard to attack up the ramp, though.
And it's so many Stalkers, Kevin, like it really is. The first Voice fields aren't bad. He grabs the sentry, does pop the battery overcharge as well. Kind of premature by Krystianer, so panicking a little there. Trying to throw up his own Nexus behind this as well is Goblin. I think trying to play the catch-up game might be a bit of a overestimation by him. He has to do something now.
Yep, it truly is now or never. By the time his own Nexus goes up, he's going to be down 20 workers. Now the barrier gets activated on one of his Immortals, which means he's not going to be that tanky anymore. Goblin does save it. It seems that Goblin is just trying to get the best possible trade he can find. But now Blink is done, and that obviously means it's going to be a lot easier for Krystianer to micro his Stalkers back. And all of a sudden, all these sentries don't feel that good anymore. Forward Blink does get the Warp Prison with 2 units inside of it as well. 1 Immortal is down. The second Immortal goes down. Actually, that's good for Krystianer. Otherwise, he would have lost a couple of units by itself. So this is going to be it. GG will get